Listen up.
First high-speed, advanced satellite production facility that will increase the availability of 5G to everyone everywhere.
Everyone everywhere.
They apparently are going to be able to churn out, or going to be able to churn out in a week. Adrian Steckel is the CEO of OneWeb. Jeffrey Knittel is the CEO of Airbus Americas. How many satellites are you making per day or per week?
We're going to be making satellites about 30 a month right now, and then we'll be getting up to 2 satellites a day later on next year. Our first launch of 34 satellites will be in December, and we'll be continuing to launch 34 every month for the next 2 years.
Why so many satellites? I suppose we think of satellites as being, the big things for television and for mass communication, but these are what, smaller?
So Richard, there's a big change coming to satellites, and our satellites are a bit like the size of a fridge. They weigh about 150 kilograms, and differently than the typical big satellites that you're referring to that are 36,000 kilometers and that are geostationary, so that means they're in one spot along the equator. Our satellites, they travel at 16,000 miles an hour, and so all you have to do is look up, and that satellite is zipping by. So we need so many satellites because our promise is to cover everywhere on Earth and give it connectivity to everyone.
Jeffrey, why is Airbus getting involved in this? You make planes.
Sure. Richard, fundamentally, we look for innovation. As you know, we try to innovate in all our businesses. In our airplane business, in our defense and space business, and our helicopters business. This is, we believe, a truly game-changing innovation. We can bring our core competencies of manufacturing to this product and believe that we can provide low cost, and that's important, low cost, affordable connectivity around the world.
Right, well, you certainly have experience with suppliers. Jeffrey, we'll talk more about the satellite in a minute, but I do need, of course, to ask you, are you seeing any fallout, increased interest in your aircraft as a result of the Boeing 737 MAX debacle? In other words, are airlines saying, we're thinking of going to the 320 family, can you help?
As you know, we have currently a 6 to 7 year production backlog for our narrow bodies. So at this moment, our goal is to ramp up production to meet our customers' needs. And in the near term, there is little we can do to affect that availability of aircraft. So our customers are looking for more airplanes. I don't believe it's a function necessarily of the MAX situation. I think it's a function of us offering a tremendous product. We believe our single aisle product line is differentiated.
Right, and I want to further question on this. So my experience has been with competitors, it's always a case of there, but for the grace of God, go I. I mean, it may happen to your competitor, but it could happen to you in the future. So I'm guessing there's not too much schadenfreude about the situation at Boeing.
That's exactly right. We don't trade on safety. We want and try to contribute to making this industry the safest industry it can be. And we work every day, and we believe our competitors do the same thing to make this industry as safe as possible.
Adrian, these satellites that you're putting up and the whole 5G, when do you think realistically we will see true benefits from 5G?
Well, so our satellites, we're going to be giving service in Canada and Alaska starting next year, late next year, and giving global service in 2 years from now, so 2021, and you'll start seeing benefits from our system right away. The difference between us and 5G, there are lots of them. One is, we're good at connecting places that are dispersed, right? Low population density, where it doesn't make sense to do fiber or 5G. 5G is a great technology, but it doesn't travel very far. So we see our technology as being a complement to terrestrial networks, working together to connect everybody. And what we're really looking for is that it doesn't matter where you are. You can be in South America, in the heartland of the United States, Africa, Asia, you will have very good internet. And it's not just that some people have internet and don't have internet. We've also gotten used to getting bad service. And what we should have is everybody should have access to quality internet. It used to be that internet was a luxury item,
Right.
But I think it's like water and electricity. It's a basic necessity, and it propels economic growth.
And that's exactly right. It has become a commodity in today's society because it has become an exchange of our everyday lives, not just in business, but also in pleasure. This is probably going to be the most significant step in bringing in the one world order or the new world order pertaining to the actual mark of the beast that it talks about in the Bible. Because as he was talking about there, this will be mass produced. Right now they're banking on a satellite a day, and within a year or so they'll be doing 2 a day. This is just out of one entity that is in this service or in this business towards doing this. If you'll compile that, probably times at least 100, possibly even 1,000 of other people that will be doing the same, because obviously it's a money-making project. These guys didn't venture off into this industry just because they wanted to do something for humanity. It's obviously pretty profitable, and whoever hooks into this service, that will be that much more profitable for them too as well. So what we're looking at, if they're going to be in Canada and Alaska later on next year, the year after that they'll be here in America. I'm going to say by 2025, maybe 2027, this 5G network will revolutionize the services pertaining to the internet all over the world. This won't just be in just 1 or 2 places. This will be all over the world. And once more, this is opening up the time frame for that in which what has been predicted in biblical Bible prophecy of seeing the ruler to the new world order in regard to the actual mark of the beast that it talks about in the Bible, either 666 or 999. Of course, that won't occur in full phase until after the second coming, which will be the first resurrection, whenever the saints will be pulled away from this planet Earth, those either who have died or those who are living, pertaining to the great resurrection, that the mark of the beast will not become effective in and on the planet until after that occurs. We know this. Everything is lining up perfectly in the time frame that it's supposed to line up in. And whenever they was teaching and preaching, let's go all the way back to, let's say, Oral Roberts or Pat Robertson's ministry. Whenever they was teaching what they was teaching back then pertaining to the last days, in reality, based around the knowledge and based around the time frame, in their reality, it actually was the last days. Because we know anybody who lives a life upon this planet, from the time that you are born, you are steadily approaching the last days. From the time that you are born, though you go through a growing period as far as getting bigger physically and your mind becoming bigger and your organs becoming stronger and bigger, in reality, from the time that you are born that's whenever the clock starts ticking, tick tock, running backwards towards the end of one's lifespan. Now, what is that lifespan? We don't know. We don't know. We don't have a clue. But whether or not it ends yesterday, today, or tomorrow, it's still the end of one's lifespan. So in reality, if that lifespan becomes accessible during the time that we are all here, for that particular individual, including myself, that is the end of his or her world on an individual level. Now, on a big scale, we're still looking for the big enchilada to occur, and what you're looking at right here and what you just got through listening to is the beginning. Actually, it's not the beginning, it's the fulfilling developments of what has been predicted, that the gospel will resonate all over the planet, in every area unimaginable, from Thailand to Greece to Italy to Europe to Africa to Russia to the North Pole, the South Pole, all over every continent. How do you think the gospel's gonna go into all these places? You got it. This will be the vehicle for it. So as we're seeing biblical Bible prophecy fulfilling itself in that order of a vehicle being manufactured so that the Word of God can go throughout all places of the regions, we also see the manifestation of the New World Order, the one world government pertaining to the actual Antichrist. So all these things is lining up in perfect symmetrical alliances that the end is near. We are getting closer to the big enchilada, whenever God himself will blow the trumpet and gather together the elect from the four corners of the earth, and the actual Great Tribulation period will begin. The Great Tribulation period will begin, because everyone upon to the planet will have been given an opportunity of either accepting the teachings of Christ or rejecting the teachings of Christ. So we are inevitably becoming closer and closer and closer towards the end of the days. And like I was saying a while ago, it's not that Oral Roberts or Pat Robinson or Jimmy Swaggart's ministry or some of these other internationally known ministries was wrong, because they was right in preaching and believing what they taught and believed during the time that they taught and believed it, for that decade, for that generation, for that group of people. Now we are moving over into something that is even going to dwarf even all of that. And it's crucial. It's imperative, it's crucial. And if you know anything at all or believe anything at all about Christianity concepts, maybe it's time for one to pay very, very close attention towards what is actually happening pertaining to their lifestyle and the relationship that they are promoting with their Creator based around these facts. Because this is no longer scientific. This is now turning from scientific to science facts. And regardless whether the old people in the old way of thinking, in the old concepts, wants to accept it, believe it or not, that's kind of like back whenever I was a child and they blasted off the first Apollo, they didn't believe that. There was probably half of the population in America at that time that did not believe that that was actually going on. Well, keep in mind the time that we was living in during the early 60s. They had just got through evolving from going from horse and buggy to an automobile. Most people in the country settings had not never even driven or seen an airplane. They was going from a black and white setting to barely places had color at the time. So naturally, based around their knowledge, based around their concept, they wasn't going to believe it. A lot of them. Some of them did, but most of them didn't, because they hadn't yet experienced it. It hadn't yet become true to them. Well, according to the book of Daniel, it says that wisdom will be expanded and that it will grow to and fro and from all over the world. Well, how do you think this wisdom is going to expand? By these methods of tools that these two gentlemen are talking about right here. We have already got a taste of it just within the past 10, 12, 15 years pertaining to the internet and smartphone technology. Now it's evolving, it's growing, it's going to another level. And eventually, like the guy was talking about there on the right hand side as we're facing him, it'll get to where eventually there won't be no dead spots as far as poor internet service. This 5G program that they're talking about will be, it will supersede the G4 network probably on a scale of 100 to 1. To the point that no matter if you're in a deep, dark cave, you'll possibly still be able to get this type of internet service. I don't know if it's going to be that good or not. I'm just speculating on that. But the fact of the matter is we are evolving into something that the Bible has already pre-selected towards the when, the where, and the how. Let's watch into the rest of this, and once more, thank you for listening to my viewers.
See you both, gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed. This is Express. We're back in a moment.
I didn't realize that it was over with. I guess it is. Well, that's the end of that in regard to this type of new service that we're all going to be exposed to, providing that our personal world has not already come to an end. Hopefully that won't be the case, and hopefully we will be here to watch the historical history facts come true on a day-to-day basis as we watch the planet evolve and grow and escalate into this great, grand, glorious concept that God intended for us to be a part of in this era. Thanks again to all, and shalom. Good luck to all of us.
Was sitting in my living room at home watching in flickering black and white the amazing first steps made by Neil Armstrong.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I was exposed to space flight because my father was a NASA astronaut. And what Apollo did is it inspired an entire generation of entrepreneurs.
This is Astrobotic's lander called Peregrine that is bringing 28 payloads that are going to be sent up to the surface of the moon. We're also bringing DHL Moonbox. For the very first time, people all over the world can send individual mementos up to the surface of the moon.
When I first heard about this opportunity, I immediately knew that I wanted to send a letter in homage to my father, but also in dedication to my kids, who will consider travel into space like their father and their grandfather.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions.